Welcome, I am back. Hello, Soul Tribe. Hello, everyone. In today's stream, we will be talking about, did scientists discover the ghost particle in CERN? So, pretty interesting couple of articles we'll be covering today, and definitely something that's should raise an eyebrow or two. Physicists found the ghost haunting the world's first famous particle accelerator by Popular Mechanics. So this was published by Caroline Delbert on the 29th of March 2024. And within CERN itself, an invisible force has long eluded detection within CERN's halls until now. So CERN's super proton synchrotron will turn 50 in 2026, and it has a quote-unquote resonant ghost. Using mathematics, physicists measured and modeled how these resonant lines intersect. Modeling a 3D shape over time requires a 4D system of equations. So in new research published in the journal Nature Physics, scientists at CERN in Switzerland and Goethe University in Frankfurt in Germany announced that they had isolated a resonant ghost that affects how particles behave inside the super proton synchrotron, the SPS. It's a 3D shape that shifts over time, meaning it's best measured in 4D. And the secret is the same reason you spill your coffee walking back to your desk or bounce your friends off the trampoline. The SPS is a ring that's nearly 4 miles across, dating back to the 1970s. That sounds like it's ancient history, but the SPS has remained vital at CERN. In 2019, it's received an upgrade called Beam Bump, which is like the runaway truck ramp for the high-powered beams inside of the SPS. So when researchers noticed the ghost in the machine, so to speak, they knew it was important to map and understand future work. So by the sounds of it, they are trying to find something, maybe the elixir of life itself, or perhaps something along those lines. Physicists capture elusive 4D ghost in CERN particle accelerator. There's a spectre haunting the tunnels of a particle accelerator at CERN. This is by Physics, published on the 25th of March by Michelle Starr. In the super proton synchrotron, physicists have finally measured and quantified an invisible structure that can divert the course of particles therein and create problems for particle research. It's described as taking place in phase space, which can represent one or more states of a moving system. Since 4 states are required to represent the structure, the researchers view it as 4-dimensional. Therefore, I'm guessing classical equations will not work in trying to understand and quantify this phenomenon. There needs to be a new system, a new set of equations that need to be identified and applied to consistently measure this phenomenon by the looks of it. The structure is the result of a phenomenon known as resonance, and being able to quantify and measure it takes us a step closer to solving a problem universal to magnetic particle accelerators. Within these resonances, what happens is that particles don't follow exactly the path we want and then fly away and get lost, says physicist Giuliano Franchetti of GSI in Germany. This causes beam degradation and makes it difficult to reach the required beam parameters. Resonance occurs when 2 systems interact and sync up. It could be a resonance emerging between planetary orbits as they gravitationally interact in their journey around a star, or a turning fork that starts to sympathetically ring when sound waves from another turning fork hits its lines. Particle accelerators use powerful magnets that generate electromagnetic fields to guide and accelerate beams of particles to where physicists want them to go. Resonances can occur in the accelerator due to imperfections in the magnets, creating a magnetic structure that interacts with particles in problematic ways. The more degrees of freedom a dynamic system exhibits, the more complex it is to describe mathematically. Particles moving through a particle accelerator are described using 2 degrees of freedom, reflecting the 2 coordinates needed to define a point on a flat grid, which by the sounds of it is generally your classical Cartesian plane. Perhaps if it's in a physical space, maybe with the z-axis, but still a Cartesian plane nonetheless. Yeah, there you go. So Cartesian plane with the z-axis right there. To describe structures therein requires mapping them using additional features in phase space beyond just the up, down, left, right dimensions. That is, 4 parameters are needed to map each point in the space. This, the researchers say, something that could very easily elude our geometric intuition. So by the looks of it here, the movement of the particle is kind of shifting between 3 and 4 dimensions. The projected dimension in the 3D, a projected dimension in the 4D, and then this kind of figure of 8 movement. The 4D resonance structure the researchers measured in the superproton synchrotron, cited in H. Bartosik, G. Franchetti, and F. Schmidt, Nature Physics, 2024. PXX. Pretty interesting. And then there's the spectrum of light over here. Yeah. In accelerator physics, the thinking is often in only one plane, Franchetti says. In order to map a resonance, however, the particle beam needs to be measured across both the horizontal and vertical planes because, of course, it's movement over periods of time. There's like 2 wavelengths coming together like this to create resonance of some kind. It sounds pretty straightforward, but if you're used to thinking about something a specific way, you might take an effort to think outside the box. Understanding the effects of resonance on a particle beam took quite a few years and some hefty computer simulations. However, that information opened the way for Franchetti, along with physicists Hans Bartosik and Frank Schmidt of CERN, to finally measure the magnetic anomaly. Using beam position monitors along the superproton synchrotron, they measured the position of the particles for approximately 3,000 beams by carefully measuring where particles were centered or skewed to one side. They were able to generate a map of the resonance haunting the accelerator. What makes our recent findings so special is that it shows how individual particles behave in a coupled resonance. Bartosik says we can demonstrate that the experimental findings agree with what had been predicted based on theory and simulation. The next step is to develop a theory that describes how individual particles behave in the presence of an accelerator resonance. This, the researchers say, will ultimately give them a new way to migrate beam degradation and achieve high fidelity beams required for ongoing and future particle acceleration experiments. The team's research has been published in Nature Physics. So judging by the sounds of it, it's like a mixture of harmonics is being used to describe 2 different beams. Again, kind of connecting like this. And then for some reason, it behaves like a figure of 8. Anyone from a physicist or mathematical background physics or a mathematical background, please let me know in the comments down below what you think. I find this is a pretty interesting finding, say the least, but it makes you wonder why they choose to say it's a ghost particle within the accelerator. Why use this type of occultic terminology to describe scientific findings? Well, that's it for me. Good luck, everyone in the Soul Tribe. Humanis Invictus, and I'll see you back in future streams. Bye for now, and take care.